Good morning, you strange and wonderful weirdos. I'm John.
I'm Stacey.
It's Thursday, December the 8th. And here's why today is strange.
All right, so let's start with a story about the construction that has started on the world's biggest radio telescope, which will hear signals billions of light years away.
What?
Billions of light years away. Can you hear me?
Good deal.
The radio telescope is going to span parts of Australia and South Africa. Now, we've talked about this before because it's called the Square Kilometer Array, and it has been in the works, in the planning stages, since like the 90s. Yes. Yeah, no, not one giant telescope, but the Square Kilometer Array will combine the thousands of antennas in Western Australia with a network of dishes in a remote region in South Africa to form one large interconnected virtual dish system, sort of treating it as though it were a single gigantic piece of equipment. Now, they claim that the result is a radio telescope so sensitive. And this is how...
Hear a queef from a quasar.
This is how Danny Price of the Curtin Institute of Radio Astronomy puts it, okay? He said it could pinpoint the signal of a smartphone in the pocket of an astronaut on Mars over 139 million miles away. That's how powerful it's going to be. Now, they are just in the first stages. They're going to be putting in 130,000 Christmas tree-shaped antennas in the Australian outback, and this is going to be a tenth of the end goal. This whole project has a span of like 50 years. This first part is not even going to be completed until 2028. And, they've been planning it for a long time.
There's a tide of a chance. Like a little, that it might be outdated by the time they get it built.
Supposedly, by the time it's finished, there isn't anything like it. So I guess it can't be outdated if there isn't anything that we have, this powerful.
If we can fly there.
Perhaps.
If we can energize ourselves there.
Right. But, they're not just going to get signals from Mars. They're going to get signals from, billions of light years away from the beginning of the universe or whatever they're going to be looking for.
We're getting pictures of that now.
They claim that it's going to aims to install thousands of dishes and 1 million antennas.
That's a lot of antennas.
That is a lot of antennas. The
antenna factory is very happy, though. Those guys were down to their last few. They've done everything I can think of. Maybe we could sell them for these digital, they started the whole cord cutter thing. It was like it was a whisper into your campaign. It's just like, screw cable. Cut the cord.
That was successful.
Yes, it was.
People to buy antennas. So they claim that it will hopefully answer some of astronomers' most long-standing and pressing questions about the universe.
What did the Big Bang sound like? We're going to see it. We want to hear it now.
The nature of dark matter, potential dark energy, perhaps even extraterrestrial life. We'll already know. The aliens will be here helping you build it before you get that thing built.
There's no dark matter.
So, but they are getting started. They're finally getting started since planning it since the 90s. It's insane. It is in a very, very remote area in South Africa and in Australia. So they claim that that's going to help with doing the signals, that there won't be any interference.
Yeah.
So,
that absolutely helps.
Yes. So very exciting. I hope we hear more about that in 20 years or whenever they finish it.
We'll follow up on that one. You know how Stacey likes to follow up.
We'll do a follow-up when that's completed. All right, so let's move on and talk about the story from Colorado.
Oh, good.
So this is about some mystery cattle deaths that are stumping investigators. Now, investigators in Colorado have been left baffled after dozens of cattle inexplicably have dropped dead. Now, these are not cattle mutilations. We're not talking about surgical cuts or anything like that. These cattle, they've just died and they have no idea.
Maybe the aliens started scaring them.
What happened? They're buzzing them really close.
They're like, they're on to us.
Now, this started back in October. The first report was like 18 cattle in October that just dropped dead. Now, at the time, they thought that wolves were the culprit. But 2 months later, they've got up to 40 cattle now that have died. And only 5 out of the 40 cattle can be attributed 100% to wolf attacks. They said that those 5 specifically had missing tails and bite marks on their hamstrings and their flanks. But suspiciously, the wolves didn't come back to the prey, which is unusual. Like, supposedly they were killed by wolves, but then they were just left. So they have no idea how the other cattle have died. Now, they claim that, I think the Denver Post reported, that investigators have used what they call sophisticated technology to determine if any wolves are present in the area. Their sophisticated technology consists of trail cameras. Yeah, and manned flights.
Yes, sir. Any wolves? Yeah, woofy, 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 woofy. Ow.
It's funny you do that. That is totally one of the techniques. The howling, they call it. They call it howling surveys, in which they stop and howl and then wait to see if they hear anything. That's one of the sophisticated techniques.
Kind of like wood knocks.
Exactly. That's what I thought. People laugh about that. They're like, why do you make Bigfoot sounds to see if there's a Bigfoot? It's completely scientific.
If it knocks back,
Now,
it's either a human, a lost primate, a woodpecker, or a Bigfoot.
Now, after the culmination of all of these scientific efforts, they have no evidence that there are wolves in that area. They do have a pack of wolves.
Did they try the raw meat? They hang it on.
It doesn't say that they tried the raw meat. Now, they do claim that
they dress up a female wolf.
Oh, they need to try that. And that's
it
right.
always works in the cartoons.
That prays back and forth saying, come up and see me sometime.
Yeah.
They claim that there is some wolves that they track, but they're 100 miles away. The territory's 100 miles away, so it's obviously not them. Now, they also investigated whether the cattle could have had some kind of bacterial infection that maybe was dormant. And then,
so they didn't look at that first. Do you think that
no,
they instantly blamed the wolf? The wolf's like...
They went with the wolves first. But those tests were inconclusive, that typically they would have some sort of lesions on them, and they just don't have that. And there was no evidence that there was any bacterial infection. So still no idea what happened to the cattle. It's very strange.
It's high tech.
Because it's not even a mutilation.
Yeah, it's like alien cow tipping. It's like, I'm telling you, I guarantee you, it was those damn grays. They figured out another way to do it. Maybe they just pick them up now and drop them.
Oh, there you go. They were like doing the abductions, the cow abductions, and something malfunctioned.
Well, no. They pull them up and then...
Oh, they do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Like,
Oh. Maybe it's a new alien like trend or something.
You never know.
Think they have TikTok up there? Alien TikTok challenge?
I bet they have all kinds of things up there. But no, that is strange. It is very strange, especially if they don't find a reason.
Right.
Now, there's animal die-offs all the time, but it might be the month that we don't eat hamburgers.
Yeah. From Colorado, anyway. From meat in Colorado. It's very strange.
It's all a mystery usually anyway.
All right. So let's move on to a story from Ohio.
Oh.
So this is a story about an Ohio man. He's unidentified. We don't have his identity, but he recently purchased a home from a sheriff's sale. You know, where you buy it as is, really auction it off at a good price.
Oh, like a police auction.
Yes, they call it a sheriff's sale.
Is that what they call it?
That's what it's called in here. So like a police auction, I guess. And he bought it, and he went to the site to check out the property.
I'm going to go out to the sheriff's sale. You guys want to come?
It's Ohio. I mean, I didn't question it. He went to check on his new property, and he found a decomposing body in the basement of the former homeowner.
The sheriff?
No, not the sheriff.
The mayor?
No, the lady that used to live in the house.
I thought maybe the way it was pausing, I thought it was like...
He found a dead body in his basement.
Yeah, but I thought maybe it was going to be like famous Ohio resident.
No, just the person that used to own the house. Nobody found her before now. They sold him the house. Wow. And for some reason, nobody thought to look in the basement.
It was the homeowner's body.
Yes.
It wasn't a body she hid.
I mean, technically, it would have been a homeowner's body.
So she died in a bleeding house?
Yes.
They didn't find her?
Find her. It's starting to click now, isn't it?
Did they look?
I guess not. There's investigation
How
now.
hard was it to find?
She was in the basement. Apparently, he found her when he went to look at the home he bought. He went down to the
She's
basement.
sitting on the couch.
No, I don't know. In the basement, decomposing. You'd think there'd been a smell or something.
Something.
Yeah, something. Some kind
It
of.
is. What city in Ohio? May have been hard to tell.
It says it's the. Hold on, it tells me where it is. It's in the 2700 block of Noble Road, Cleveland Heights.
In Cleveland?
They call it a Cleveland Heights residence, Cuyahoga County. It doesn't give a city name, but I'm assuming, yeah, somewhere around there. So her name was Nina Felden. She was 71. It doesn't say how she passed or why the body was not found before they sold the house off. Just that he immediately had to call the police and be like, look, I found her down there. She was already, pretty decomposed.
Hopefully
so.
they took care of the, because of that, like carpet cleaning, they called Cleveland Steamer and,
Something. Air fresheners. I don't know. How do you make a haunted house? That's how you make a haunted house.
It is. It definitely is.
I think I'd flip that house pretty quick. I wouldn't keep it.
I wouldn't stay in it a single night. I had a great aunt and uncle that we just called like aunt and uncle because we never used a great thing. It was weird. Mm-hmm. Anyway, when I was a kid, obviously, and I remember the first night I stayed at their house, and they had to tell me about so and so. Aunt so-and-so that had passed in the room. It's like...
Why do they have to tell you that stuff?
Why?
I don't know why.
Old people love that stuff.
Here, you want this bed? It's perfectly good.
And that's how it used to be.
Great-grandpappy passed in it, but it's fine.
When homes had better bones, people would stay in houses for generations.
Right.
So they would always tell you, oh yeah, Betsy died in that room. Every now and then, I swear to God, I can smell her breath.
She didn't brush her teeth very often, did she?
I don't know why they just made me think of that. Really, that's a form of child abuse. When you're a kid like me,
right?
When you're a kid that already that was a night that I stayed up watching Hammer films. I was so happy. It was like, we don't care how late you stay up, little John, it's fine. And I remember I found like the midnight movie, and it was like a Hammer film, Christopher Lee. I was so excited because that was always been my thing. And I was watching it, and then like one of them made some drink or something in the middle of the night or whatever, and told you the story. Told me so and so died, and
very nice of them.
Of course, it could all be a dream too. That happens.
All right. So let's move on.
Not only the day that's strange.
It's all strange. All right, so let's do this story from Chesapeake, Virginia.
Good.
This is about a Virginia elementary school who's going to host the After School Satan Club for kids. Now, the elementary school is not actually hosting this. It's just on the elementary school's property. They have some publicly funded buildings that they allow community groups to rent and use for after school activities. And this one has caused a little bit of an uproar. There is a flyer that says After School Satan Club does not attempt to convert children to any religious ideology. Instead, the Satanic Temple supports children to think for themselves. And they claim...
Hello, kiddies. Are you tired of waking up early on Sundays? Do you hate it when you have to go somewhere on Wednesday night? Perhaps. Would you like to watch whatever you want to watch without your parents deciding?
Is that how Satanists talk?
My Satan.
So they claim that students can learn about benevolence and empathy, critical thinking, problem solving, creative expression, personal sovereignty, and compassion. Children are required to have a parent-signed permission slip to attend.
Good.
And, even though some parents brought it up to the school's like, look, we've let different religious groups request, and they've been allowed to use the facilities after hours, and they can't discriminate against this particular religious group, because if they let one religious group in, they have to let them all do it, because otherwise it's discrimination.
Yes, I know the argument.
There is going to be
same used for front doors.
There is going to be a school board meeting a few days beforehand where I guess they're going to have a public hearing on the matter where parents can voice their concerns.
I wonder if that's available online. That'd
I'm
be a
not
fun
sure.
one.
Now, supposedly an elementary school in California did this last month. I don't know how that went. I just saw a headline that said, they were also allowing an after-school Satan club from their
sure it was
local
normal.
satanic temple. But yeah, I mean, it's an option for those parents that want their children to have a non-theistic religion that views Satan as a literary figure who represents a metaphorical construct of rejecting tyranny and championing the human mind and spirit.
Pretentious much?
That's what it says. That's
You
in
sure it wasn't
quotes.
the Church of Pretension?
Maybe. I've never been to Church of Satan, so I don't know. All right, shall we move on?
Please.
All right. This last story is from Texas, Kilgore, Texas. And this is about a reckless driver that
Bet you there's not a Church of Satan for the kids in Texas.
Probably not. The police were called to the Walmart parking lot where a reckless driver hit 2 vehicles. And one of the suspects claimed that the truck was barreling down on him and he could not get out of the way. But then they were all shocked when they looked in the truck to see that it was being driven by a dog. A doggy was in the driver's seat. Supposedly that the dog was sitting unoccupied in the car waiting for its owners to shop, and he got a little antsy. So this is what they think happened. He got in the driver's seat. He was kind of jumping and bouncing around, and he set the truck to drive while his leash got caught under the parking brake and released it somehow, and that caused the truck to move and hit 2 vehicles. Now, that's the only thing that there is witnesses that saw the dog in the driver's seat of the truck when it was moving. So he did it. And then there's this very cute picture of the police officer taking a picture of the dog in the car who has a very, very guilty face. You know how they make those guilty faces when they've done things. He knew. He knew what
really
he did.
Happened? Doggone it, Margaret. I told you. Westminster's about to start. Screw this.
Oh, that would be terrifying. Just to see a truck coming at you and a dog in the driver's seat. I mean, it's like you can yell at him to stop. He can't reach the brakes.
On the way
poor
home,
little thing.
On the way home, it's like, I can't believe you did that, Sparky. You're lucky I didn't tell him I could talk.
I think they said that the steering column had some damage to it, which allowed him to put it in drive. But of course it had damage if your dog's driving the car. I mean...
But that dog had some damage too before the day was done.
I don't think there was a ton of damage done, but there you go.
Oh, well. Stranger things have happened in Texas.
True.
And that's why today is strange.